Ah, nature. It's beautiful, isn't it? Nothing can't quite beat it, can it?
Objection!
Well, sorry to break it to you, bud, but that's a fake animal. That's a fake animal. And this whole background is a screenshot from Red Dead Redemption 2. But don't feel too bad. This was even good enough to fool a news anchor.
It was a nice week here on the high desert. Here are the photos sent our way for this week's Out and About.
The amount of details and love that went into this game can be seen, heard, and tasted in game. I mean, we all know the horse balls, but that's kind of just like the tip of the iceberg there. Did I mention that this game was 7 years old? So she'll be entering 3rd grade soon. The similarities between these two seems to be infinite. However, nothing beats that feeling of fresh air and sunlight, which is pretty vital for, you know, your body, this planet, the galaxy.
Our budget wouldn't allow for a 3rd explosion.
It just sucks that there isn't some way we can get the best of both worlds here. It's a damn shame I can't say that without subconsciously thinking of a Disney pop star. How can we take this PC outside with the least amount of property damage and the least amount of wallet damage? Now, the first step in solving any problem is admitting that you have a problem. So we'll approach this how you should approach any problem in your life, with every tool at your disposal. And I do mean every tool. Once that's all settled, head on out the front door, go to your location and scout out potential areas where you can solidify and cement a foundation, completely operable and hopefully taking up the most minimal amount of space, given that the room that we have to work with is pretty finite here. It's about 30% concrete hallway, 55% awkward slope, 15% concentrated power of will. So I feel like this perfectly leads us into the first chapter of this build, which is to survey, inspect, and visualize. That means knowing your dimensions, angles, microphone quality. This is where it happened. Once you've collected that data, you're all ready to draw out your game plan. Or you could be like me and fail 3 times at coming up with a workable idea before striking gold. And with these failed attempts, a lot of supplies were bought and returned since they were not needed. But much like with all failures, these were stepping stones that led us to our success. If it wasn't for these god-awful hooks, I would have never understood that I can use this concrete wall to my advantage. My plan was to have the backside of the concrete wall have the buried stakes, put them deep in there of course, buried enough to be just underneath the concrete wall, and then we would nail a top plank on top of these stakes that would directly go over the concrete wall and extend outwards just enough for me to place things onto this. It was time to visit the good old Home Depot. And our good old HD supply run is going to include some lumber. I wanted to go with some redwood here. Looks very Red Dead-y. Secured our stander. Bonus points to Home Depot since we didn't have to wait a whole hour to get this wood cut. As soon as I got back home, I began staining the new planks we had. I even had these extra 2x4s that'll be serving as our stakes. We'll be staining these hoes too. Doesn't have to look perfect, but the closer these two look in resemblance, the better. It'll work. While these puppies dry, we can go ahead and start digging our holes.
Don't let your dreams be dreams.
I like digging holes.
I can fix that.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
That's too damn bad!
That's 2 for the folks counting at home. Now to nail on some top plates, and we're gonna flush them good to fit over this ledge here. I don't want any buoyancy on this whatsoever. And now we can start working on our slab. Cut to our fine dried lumber in all its glory here. Cue our sponsor of the day, Mod Podge. We're gonna be using Mod Podge here to glue this thing together and start forming our slab. We're gonna slap a good amount and just leave it on here to dry. It looks like a Minecraft sign. So that way all corners have somewhat of a extra bond. I don't know. I just my bad, that's on me. Now it should be all good to go with a new coat on there. We'll set this thing to dry in the sun, and then hopefully in a few hours we'll I think I'm just leaving it in the wrong way. So I'm gonna flip it to dry vertically. Maybe leaves a little less pressure on points where it slides away. I don't even want to do this anymore. Learn from my mistakes, boys and girls. Mod Podge is in fact not wood glue. In my defense, this is what I got when I had asked Google if I can use Mod Podge and glue. However, I should have kept reading that very same sentence because it very clearly states that this thing is not intended for the use I'm trying to use it for. So one more dastardly trip to Home Depot. This time, the only thing on the list being wood glue. And luckily we found some Gorilla wood glue to go along with our Gorilla couch, to go along with that Gorilla Grip. Very nice price. Our budget will thank us later. Back to the casa now that I have the correct adhesive. I wiped away all the useless Mod Podge and made way for the new Gorilla wood glue. And man, you can just tell the difference. This thing is spreading smooth like butter. Leave this bitch out to dry. Up to 24 hours. Holy shit. Stain slab is all glued and dry. Let's get this thing glued onto our top plate here, and then I mean glued. I made this shit look like a toaster strudel. Bam! Placed. Now we just leave this thing to dry for another 24 hours per our instructions. Now I did want to add some more stability back here in the form of wood, mostly behind the stakes. I wanted to attach the top plates and the stakes as all in one piece. I'm going to karate chop the shit out of this 2x4 here to make a piece that we could attach behind our stakes. Already feels more stable doing that. And we'll be back the next day to finally get our test run going, right? We're good to go on our first test run, aren't we? Wrong, you silly goose. You son of a gun. You stupid fucking all this stuff is completely useless without any power running through it. I'm just gonna go with an extension cord. I'm gonna need a pretty long cord to go out there. I'd go to Home Depot again for the extension cord, but they're starting to recognize me there, and with all the returns, it is getting a little awkward, so I know another guy that has great deals. I even watch YouTube channels dedicated to the best monthly deals Costco has to offer, because this is what your 20s looks like. Two 50-foot extension cords with a triple head adapter, meaning we only have to have one of these suckers plugged in to use all the equipment we'll be running out there. And shit, you know it ain't a Costco trip without getting a couple chicken bakes and some mocha freezes, man. Come on, I mean $1.50 hot dog with a soda. I gotta tip my hat to you. And you too, Mr. Arizona. We're gonna go ahead and slap another coat on there for good measure. I started scraping away some excess glue just to give it some more aesthetically popping details, stabbing my palm in the process. We're pretty much set to go on our very first test run here. Much excited. We brought out the keyboard, the monitor, I'd game on that, even our new extension cord, and then we were introduced with our very first problem of the video. That problem is rain, or moisture in general. It hadn't dawned on me until this point that I won't be able to use this thing at all if there's any amount of rain, sprinkling, or what have you out there. Even a nice humid day, I won't be able to use this. Don't know if you know this, but you probably don't want water in those things. But no problem, Mother Nature will go ahead and do her thing today. We'll go ahead and tackle at it tomorrow when we have nicer weather. Next day, coming out strong here. We're reeling out our cord to go to the nearest outlet, which is nowhere located in this backyard. The closest outlet is right at my front door, so it is gonna look janky while I'm out here, but hey, we deal with what we got here. And as I'm running the extension cord to the nearest outlet, I run into a landscaper who's scheduled to clean up the backyard. Oh. No worries, man. Landscaper just came. 1 minute. Why, landscaper? Why? Now that the landscaper's done fucking up all continuity, we could get back to our first test run here. So we quickly went at it with our monitor, and then I started to feel a slight sprinkle. And then it started heavily raining for the whole night again. This is the third time I've been interrupted. Third time's the charm here. I saw that I had a small window between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. to build this thing with no rain, pure sunlight, Keyboard, monitor, fucking extension cord out. Still no outlet outside, so run that thing all the way to the front door. Finally get to bring this behemoth out, which marks the furthest we've gotten in this test run. I can easily place it on the back of the concrete wall, same place where I have my cords. Don't look, please. But I made this little platform out of extra 2x4s I have in the back. Nothing fancy. I just didn't want it directly on top of the mud or dirt. The PC's out, our cords connected, and folks, I'm very happy and proud to say that we finally have our outside PC setup ready to go. We can finally take this thing out, take her out for a test drive. Our cable management is just completely fucked, but statistics say so is yours. And then I started enjoying the outdoors. While in the outdoors, I mean, it just hit differently. Getting those 60 frames per second with all our mods on. Subtle flex, but I'm sorry I have to tell you that. We get to live our wildest dreams out now. We are truly living it big out here. Mission accomplished. Oh yeah, and editing is also possible out here too. But who am I kidding? This is completely for the circumstances of Red Dead 2. Right on for watching, gang. This thing was this close to being scrapped. I felt like I was botching together this monstrosity to form one video. So again, thank you kindly. I love every single one of you. Peace out. And until the next one, adios, cowpoke.
Well, let me have a rule and a saw and a board and I'll cut it. I'll climb up a ladder with a hammer and a nail and I'll nail it. Well, we worked so hard to build a little house together. In the snow or the rain or the ice cold wind, whenever. No matter, it happens. What the weather, we're together.